Good afternoon, everyone. Um, it is time for another episode of Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle here on Bearcast Radio. So, obviously, as always, I start with a weather report, and I am definitely anxious to go over the weather today because we have got quite an active week ahead. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, according to WCPO 9 News Cincinnati, we are currently looking at 67 degrees under partly cloudy skies. But as I was driving in here, it looked like it was mostly sunny. This is the warmest temperature we have had in quite some time. And quite frankly, our weather this week is going to be a bit of a roller coaster. So, for today, we're not going to be dropping below 50. Even for our overnight lows tonight, we're going to be staying at or above 50 degrees straight without any real rain chances. But here's the kicker, though. So, it is very spring-like right now. In fact, our temperatures are very much above what we would consider to be normal for this time of year for mid to late February. And then, obviously, with that spring-like temperature is going to come some spring-like thunderstorms as well. So we are potentially going to be getting our first taste of some spring thunderstorms tomorrow, although it looks like the chance might have decreased a little bit, but it looks like we might potentially see some rain. We're going to get rain at least. It looks like that'll at least be starting around tomorrow evening-ish and continuing into the overnight into Friday morning. I did see reports that a large swath of land from the far western part of Kentucky all the way to just east of here is included in a 4-day outlook, or at least was included in a 4-day outlook by the Storm Prediction Center. So there's a chance that we may potentially see some stronger thunderstorms or parts of that region, pretty much the along the Ohio River, could see something. But if we see anything here, it wouldn't be anything more than like maybe some hail or a few gusty winds. But we're not expecting any like big tornadoes or heavy rotation with any of these storms. Then that's going to be part of a rather potent cold front that's going to cause the temperatures to drop back down to more seasonal levels by this weekend, with our highs topping out only at 45 on Saturday. And Sunday is going to be back to winter reality, with our high being just above freezing, and then gradually improving temperatures on Monday and Tuesday, and we'll be back into the 50s for our daytime highs next week. Fortunately, we are not looking at any more snow, so I think we're done with that for this season, thankfully, because quite frankly, we've had quite enough. Yeah, getting buried under more than a foot of snow, and honestly, I think this was worse than the system that we had last year. So it's good to be done with that, and it's nice to get this taste of spring, but yeah, with that can come some thunderstorm chances. So once again, I don't think we're going to see anything major in that regard, but yeah, we may get a few rumbles here and there, and we're definitely going to get some rain, and cooler temperatures. So with that, let's get started with some music. I don't think I've ever played some Bowie on the show before, so I've got one that I like to listen to on the radio, and I remember hearing it on a day drive down to Lexington once in weather like this, or well, it was actually much warmer. It was in the summer, so it kind of just reminds me of that. But here is David Bowie and Changes, and when I get back, I will have some music scene updates to share with you as always, and we'll go from there. This is Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle. Hope you enjoy.
Protect your don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I'd got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse of how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Size, but never leave the stream of warm and permanent sand. So the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't tell them to grow up out of it. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Where's your shame you've left us up to our next event? Time may change me, but you can't trace time. Strange fascination fascinating me. Our changes are taking the pace I'm going through. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Ooh, look out, you rock and rollers. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Pretty soon now you're gonna get older. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. I said that time may change me, but I can't trace time.
All right, that was David Bowie and the 2014 remaster of his single Changes. This is Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle. And as I have been saying on the show all the way up until this point, we are now exactly 1 week out from the big day where we will be having members of Oh the Manatee coming into the studio here to join me for an interview, as they will have just released their brand new EP, Catalyze, which will be dropping this Friday at midnight Eastern Time. That EP is available for pre-order now on iTunes and will be available on all platforms on Friday at midnight. I am super, super psyched for this. If any of you did not already hear, Oh the Manatee has actually been elected the best of UC in the band scene by the News Record in a recent poll that they did of local bands. The News Record is our student newspaper here at the university. So big shout out to them for that, and for them getting ready to have their first professionally released EP coming out here in literally less than 48 hours. So with that, they are going to be having a show this Saturday at 5 p.m. at Spiral Groove Records in Milford, in downtown Milford, 215 Main Street. This will be in the record store part, and is part of a series that the store does of all sorts of basically or it's a series that they do of live artists that come in and just play in the store, and it's really nice. It's a really neat place. So come out and come to their show this Saturday. Also come see some of the other shows they got going on there too, and support the local bands, support the local business, and yeah, 215 Main Street in downtown Milford. So they'll be doing that on Saturday. They've also got some other shows coming up in March, and as well as a confirmed date already looking ahead to July. I think they've got something on the calendar for July 10th. So yeah, super excited for what they've got coming up, what all the other bands around here have coming up as well. And yeah, I'm going to be inviting members of Oh the Manatee into the studio next week. So I will be having promotional materials out on my social media page, as well as the other related channels, such as the Bearcast account, hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. So be keeping an eye out on at Flora Frequency Cincy for more updates on that, as well as through Bearcast Media. And I believe Oh the Manatee will also be posting about this on their channel as well. So I am super psyched for this. The countdown is on. The rest of us here at Bearcast are super excited as well. This is going to be so much fun. I am very much looking forward to getting to do this with them. And also, Fishbowl is going to be kicking off their new season. That is the popular house show venue right down the street from here on Taylor Avenue. They will be having their first show of the new year of 2026 this Friday night. That will be their snow show. And this is a strictly 18 and up only for entry. So obviously it's 18 and up, and they will check your ID at the entry. So just beware of that. But otherwise, it will be at 8 p.m. is when music starts, $5 entry, and it will be featuring Juno Harlow, Partisan, and Monkey's Paw, all local acts, as well as Pink Crayons, which will be traveling up here from Louisville, it looks like, to participate and perform at this show. So I am super excited to have Fishbowl back. So I'm super excited to be getting back to Fishbowl again after the off season. It's an awesome place to go see a show, so you should definitely come to this show. If you can't make this one, they'll be doing additional stuff later on throughout the year. In addition, speaking of that venue, UC Music Club has officially, drumroll if this can be picked up on my mic here, the Battle of the Bands 2026 has officially been announced. The date will be April 11th, and the application for bands who want to perform at this event and compete for a cash prize that is still, the amount still yet to be determined at the end, is now open. That application will be open until next week, and it is being hosted by UC Music Club in conjunction with Fishbowl. So if you are a musician, band, or other artist who wants to perform at this, or if you're a band who wants to perform at this event, be sure to check them out on Instagram at Music4UC. That is the letter 4, not the word 4. And the application can be accessed there. So it's basically, this is a very fun evening. I went to the Battle of the Bands last year, which was my first time ever going to a house show, to be quite honest, and I had a real blast there seeing bands like Limelight, Cut to the Chase. That it was just a really good show, and I'm super looking forward to going to it again this year. So, and basically, as always, this event will feature 6 bands who will be competing against each other, and attendees will... I know last year we scanned a QR code, and it took us to like a Google form or a Microsoft form on our phones that we just tapped who we wanted to vote for, and then whoever got the most votes obviously won the cash prize at the end of the event. So that's how it goes. It's 6 bands against each other, and basically the event is also a charity show where all of the proceeds generated at the event are donated to Girls Rock Cincy, which the music club actually invited a representative from to come speak to the club at their general body meeting last night, which you should totally come to those meetings. They happen, if you go to UC, they happen in Swift Hall, room 816, every Tuesday night at 6:30. So definitely recommend you go. But anyway, they came and expressed just how much thanks they have for us for doing these events and these fundraisers, because basically what the organization does is they help girls, like school age girls here in Cincinnati, who want to learn how to do an instrument and like play in bands, and they even get together into these bands and perform these mini shows at the end, and that's like the heart and soul of the program. But they do these camps, I think it's during the summer, and this year it's going to be hosted down at Euler School in Lower Price Hill. And it's just a really nice thing that they do, and they open the camp up to virtually everyone, regardless of income level, because some people pay the full price of $300 and others can't afford to pay, but they're still able to get in thanks to events that music club hosts like this. So all the more reason to attend. And sometimes they'll pay in between. So this is a really nice organization that we have here in Cincinnati, and I really appreciate what they do for our community, and I was really amazed to learn what they do last night when I heard from their rep at Music Club. And yeah, that's all the more reason, please, that I would say if you go to UC or you're just in the area, and it is an 18 and up show, just like the one this Friday. But if that applies to you and you want something to do that day, please come and support these bands, support Girls Rock Cincy. I believe there's going to be vendors there, a lot of students from UC setting up shops, so support them as well. Just come out, be there, have a good time, support your community. So super excited for that. And then also we've got a show tonight. Cordella is going to be hosting their first show of 2026 right down the street at Murphy's Pub. Unfortunately, I cannot be at that because I am in class tonight. And the same goes for Limelight, who's having a show there next Wednesday. And obviously, I wish I could be at both shows if my schedule allowed, but sadly, it does not. So I hope they have a really good turnout. I would definitely recommend anyone listening who is able to go to both of them. I believe it's free entry, courtesy of Cincinnati Bookings is who is setting this up. So definitely go check them out if you have the chance. Once again, wish I could be there, but I can't. I'm stuck in class tonight. So anyway, that's what we got coming up for now for the music scene. And so now for the next song I'm going to play, I'm going to inspire it off of a local FM station here in Cincinnati who does a tradition every Wednesday called Beatles Wednesday, where they play a Beatles song once every hour all day that they are broadcasting for the day. So while I'm not officially on the whole Beatles Wednesday trend myself here, we're going to kind of copy that today since my new time slot is on Wednesdays for this season. And for that, I'm going to dig one out of the vault that a lot of you may or may not have necessarily heard of before. So with that, I present to you the Fab Four with their single Lady Madonna. Hope you enjoy.
afternoon is never ending. Wednesday morning papers didn't come. Thursday night your stockings needed mending. See how they run. Lady Madonna, children at your feet. Wonder how you managed to make ends
Straight from the vault from the 1960s, that is the Beatles and Lady Madonna. Definitely not a commonly heard song. I remember listening to that one on the One compilation album back when I was really little. We had the CD. I still technically have the CD, but it's not in good shape right now. So thank God for streaming apps where we can just stream that music and not have to worry about the CD having disc rot. But yeah, I love how they made that one sound like a vintage radio speaker compared to their other songs, and it's just so catchy. So anyway, this is Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle, and one thing I forgot to mention that I want to kind of give you all a heads up on for next week. So since next week is going to be a special episode of the show, and this is what I'm going to be doing probably for all future special episodes as well, because this is going to be one of many to come. So, or the first of many to come, is with how popular my weather reporting is going to be. Because I want to focus on the content at hand for a special episode. When I'm doing one of those, I will be recording my weather report earlier in the day separately on my own outside of the studio, and I will be releasing that on my story through the Instagram account at Flora Frequency Cincy. So next week on Wednesday, you can visit that account on Instagram and hit my story. It should be out before the show, and you can listen to my weather report there before you tune in and listen to me talk with Oh the Manatee about their EP. So just to give you a heads up there, and obviously with how crazy warm the weather's been lately, that's kind of the next thing I want to talk about here today. So obviously, with the spring type or the spring like weather that we're dealing with right now, it's definitely getting me thinking ahead towards planting and whatnot. But typically, before we can start getting into that, we also have to kind of get through the rough time of the year, which is where we got to deal with all the tornadoes and the severe thunderstorms. This isn't the only radio I do. I actually am involved with the UC Amateur Radio Club, so we do like the ham radio stuff and whatnot. And our vice president there is actually he's done some storm chasing, and he was talking to us about how Skywarn, which is like a early warning system that they use to look for stuff and then report back, is hosting a training class tomorrow that I believe you can sign up for. And you can actually listen to it. It's like a webinar style, I think. And I think the club is actually having some sort of watch party for it too. So it might be neat. I might consider doing it if I have time, but we'll have to see. But anyway, obviously we were talking to him in the last meeting on Monday about about kind of the outlook here. And I mean, obviously, since I did say earlier that we are looking at the first chance for maybe a severe thunderstorm or two around here tomorrow, but even that looks to be kind of dying down a bit. It is coming to mind now that I mean, in just a couple short weeks here, we're going to be in peak severe weather season. So, but the strange thing is though, and our VP at UCARC was actually saying that this has not been properly figured out yet as to why this is. But here in Cincinnati, we tend to we're like in some weird protective bubble of sorts and they think it might have something to do with the Ohio River, but they don't even know for sure. But every time there's like all this severe weather out west, and it's passing through cities like Indianapolis, or it's passing through Louisville, and it's moving from west to east towards Cincinnati, it looks very ominous out west. And then the local meteorologists will come on TV, and they'll come on the radio, and they'll be like, look, y'all need to be bracing for this. You guys need to take this very seriously, blah, 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 blah. I mean, a lot of you listening probably remember the situation 2 years ago in April when we were bracing for like a huge tornado outbreak of big, violent, long track tornadoes here in Cincinnati. And it ultimately didn't end up happening, or well, the tornadoes all went elsewhere. And what tends to happen is the weather, it gets to like the state line between Ohio and Indiana, or it's just west of theirs while it's still in Indiana, and it then splits. So then the storms end up going north and south of Cincinnati, and we may still get some rain here, but it doesn't end up being anything major. And that can actually be a blessing and a curse at the same time, because when it's a blessing in that it protects us from a lot of the really, really dangerous severe weather, like those big, violent, long track tornadoes that can cause lots of damage and can potentially injure or kill lots of people. So fortunately, it does kind of protect us from those. But where it can be a curse, though, is when you're like later in the summer, and obviously for the horticulture scene, when you're growing plants and you got a garden going, and basically it's like you don't have any rain, you're running into a period of drought, which typically around here that tends to happen in like late August going through September and even into early October sometimes as well. And that's become an annual thing around here. And your fall plants, your fall crops, they hate that, because obviously they need the water to live, and if there's no rain, they can't use that rainwater, and then we have to go out there and water it constantly. So otherwise it'll all die, and then for the farmers, you lose your food, and yeah. So basically, when you're wanting rain and it looks like rain's going to come, but then it splits and moves completely away from your area, you either don't get any rain at all and you're left in drought, or you don't get enough, which is just as bad sometimes as you not getting the rain at all. So it is a weird phenomenon, and quite frankly, that's why it's kind of like, because when I was little, I was obviously, it was like I'd hear stories and see stuff on TV about tornadoes, and it used to scare the living daylight out of me, because I'd be like, oh, what if a tornado hit? And then we would have to practice the drills in school, and those used to scare me during the last 3 months of the school year. So March, April, May was when we would have to do them. And yeah, I just remember that it was hard. It was hard when I was younger, and I was worried that it was like that could always happen in the spring. But nowadays it's kind of like, yeah, it can, but at the same time, it's just, even some of the most foreboding forecasts have always end up being dispersed by some strange phenomenon over Cincinnati that apparently even the most seasoned of meteorologists can't seem to figure out why that is. So anyway, that's my spiel there. Here on Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle, and given how warm it is, and I just heard this on the radio, on the FM radio on my way into the studio today, and thought that it was definitely fitting, even though we're still several months out. I bring to you now the boys of summer, the Beach Boys, with their song Kokomo. Hope you enjoy.
What?
Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? By and by we'll defy a little bit of gravity. Afternoon delight, cocktails and moonlit nights. That dreamy look in your eye gave me a tropical contact high. Way down in Kokomo, Jamaica. Ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go down to Kokomo? We can pay fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down to Kokomo. Puerto Prince, I wanna catch a glimpse. Everybody knows a little place like Kokomo. Now if you wanna go and get away from it all, go down to Kokomo. Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go down to Kokomo? We can play fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down to Kokomo. Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby.
Consider that one a sneak peek for my season 2 finale, which will be in April or May, right before the end of the school year at UC, when I am currently planning ahead to basically play like a marathon of summer songs for that. So there will definitely be some more of them on that playlist. That was the Beach Boys and Kokomo. I remember my dad and I way back when I was little, we used to joke about that and say, yeah, because it's technically referring to a fictional city in Florida, but we were like, yeah, at least it's not referring to Kokomo, Indiana, where we got stuck in traffic once around a big shopping district in the middle of cornfields on our way to vacation in Michigan. And it drove my mom insane. So, rightfully so, because the traffic was bad. So this is Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle, and I mentioned, and I did promote this event on the show previously, and it just happened yesterday. The Greater Cincinnati Environmental Educators hosted their Environmental Green Job Fair or Career Fair in the Barrel Room at Mad Tree Brewing over in Oakley. And it was my first time ever going to the brewery, and it's neat to see that they have a full restaurant and they got like a pizzeria in there, and it's really neat. But then I went to the Barrel Room and I got to talk to some really interesting employers and organizations across the green and environmental sector here in Cincinnati. And I actually passed my resume on to a couple employers as well. But some employers who were there, I mean, we had Cincinnati Parks. I previously worked for them. They are a great place to work for, and just a great place to hang out. So support our Cincy Parks. Great Parks of Hamilton County was there. I briefly worked for them for a little while this past summer as well. And they've got some really beautiful properties there as well. And then, we had the soil and water conservation districts from both sides of the Ohio River. We had Hamilton County here in Ohio, Boone County in northern Kentucky. We had people from the state. I mean, the Ohio Division of Forestry was there, which they're really cool. The Ohio Department of Agriculture's Plant Health Division, it was there, and they were talking about all the invasive, creepy, crawly pests that we have living throughout the state that we want to get rid of. So, including the spotted lanternflies that we've had an issue with here on our campus, and the guy that was there was very familiar with the issues here at UC. I think he's probably paid several visits here to see what was going on there. So yeah. So it was a really interesting event, and I definitely recommend networking at events like that and programs that are hosted. So definitely keep an eye out there, especially if you are looking for a career in the industry. There are a lot of positions that typically open up starting or shortly around this time of the year, going into March and April. So yeah, green industry jobs are all the rage here soon. So anyway, this is Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle, and the next song I'm going to play is a song by Miley Cyrus that I feel the lyrics are very inspirational. And way back in 2011, when I was at my 6th grade graduation from Mercer Elementary School, so this was almost 15 years ago, believe it or not, and I still remember this very fondly. We sang this song due to its inspirational lyrics, so I hope you think the same way with Miley Cyrus's The Climb here on Flora Frequency.
I can almost see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying. Gotta keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. It ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most. Yeah, just gotta keep going. And I gotta be strong. Just keep pushing on. 'Cause there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. And sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes you're gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Yeah. Keep on
always think of the lyrics of that song as I go through life and push through the struggles and challenges that it throws at me. That is Miley Cyrus and The Climb, here on Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle. Once again, that it is very fitting that that was the song that we sang at our 6th grade graduation, as in my school district where I went, that marked the end of elementary school and our transition to middle school. Because I know in most districts elementary stops at 5th grade, but ours was a little different. So, and that actually reminds me of, speaking of which, it makes me want to talk a little bit about my personal backstory with horticulture, because that was actually the summer. It was the summer that year in 6th grade, right after that event, the graduation, that it was my first year really truly having my own garden at my house, and that's when I really truly first discovered my passion for container growing and having my plants just on my patio in the pots, to where it's like I could control the growth environment a little better and have a little more possession of my plants, rather than just throwing them in the ground and leaving them at Mother Nature's mercy. And I mean, my one grandma and I were kind of constantly at odds over that, because she was very strong believer that plants needed to be in the ground, period, and that they'll die if they go in containers, and that it's not natural and all that. And I was like, no, I'm a container grower. So early on, that was a huge challenge, because it's like my dad was going to do what his mother said, because he trusted her, because she had been gardening for way longer than I did. And I mean, I'm going to admit her gardens were amazing. I tried to convince her to complete the Master Gardener program with the Ohio State University's extension once, but she was just like, oh no, I don't think I have the energy to do it. But it's like, why not? You would be perfectly qualified for it, but it is a time commitment though if you do it, and I'm thinking I might try it at some point, but yeah. It'll probably be after I'm done with my master's. But anyway, yeah, I had my first garden that year, where I actually got into container gardening, and I really liked container gardening because my other grandmother, she had it with her condo that she lived at in Blue Ash, Ohio, before they moved a few years ago. And it was neat to have the garden in front of a view of like all sorts of other parts of town in the distance, because they were really high up on the hill, kind of overlooking the Mill Creek Valley, and you could see parts that back when I was little, I didn't really go to those parts of town that much, to be quite honest. So it was neat going over to her house and kind of looking at a window of what's beyond my map, my personal map. So yeah, and then having the plants kind of in the foreground as like a little oasis against the backdrop of that. And we have a similar view at our house, but it's obviously when the plants are in season, you can't really see much of it because the trees are foliated. But yeah, that's so my passion kind of originated from back then and even prior as well. So this is Flora Frequency with Ben Gressle, and up next, I've got a Fleetwood Mac song, and I don't know if Cordello will be covering this at their show tonight. They typically will cover this one. They've done so before, as has Blue Million, the cover band that we have at the Urban Farm that I've mentioned before. So here's Fleetwood Mac and Rhiannon.
I want to be rich.
All right, that was Fleetwood Mac and Rhiannon. Maybe Cordell will cover that tonight. Hopefully they do, but once again, I won't know because I can't make it, sadly. But we are just about out of time at the end of my hour. So obviously the countdown is on. I am super, super psyched for next week. I know our other directors here our directors here at Bearcast are just as excited as I am, and as well as the band members of Oh the Manatee that I am welcoming into the studio. So I've already, listened to their EP before the show. It'll be out on Friday, so you'll have a few days beforehand that you can go out and listen to it, and hear how good they are. They are really, really talented, and yeah, it is going to be such a good time. I am so excited. So I am really looking forward to that. So please be back here same time next week, as I welcome Oh the Manatee into the studio to celebrate and talk about their new EP. So I will be sending us off this week with a 90s hit that I knew the melody to, but didn't know what it was until I heard it on our stream here last week. And it is a really great song. Here is Better Than Ezra and Good, from 1995. So once again, be back here, same time, same place next week for our special episode of Flora Frequency featuring Oh the Manatee. And in the meantime, please, as always, please prioritize your self-care, take care of your mental health, and I look forward to being back with you next week. Peace.
This President's Day Wake looking around
good.